evening, everyone. Welcome to our 26th edition of our Bharat Connect panel discussion. That is, the topic is going to be how do you use data to elevate the customer's journey and customer experience. So we have discussed a lot of different topics around this. So what is interesting about this one is we'll look more in depth of how the data is going to be critical part of the providing the customer experience and the journey, and how do we do that, right? So we have great panelists to help us understand and solve this problem. So let me introduce the topic a little bit, and then we'll go into the panelist, and then we'll get the discussion started. So the digital first customers are not afraid of switching brands, right? If their experience during their customer journey is not positive or valuable. One of the surveys says 86% of customers will leave they were once a loyal to after to a brand that they have been using for many years, about one or two or three bad experiences. So what that tells us is customers are having a lot of choices. That is number one. And how you are going to differentiate ourselves, right, as a brand, is becoming a lot more thin line. And because at one point of a time, people used to be able to identify a product, for example, Walkman, for example, people used to associate that with Sony, right? Because they were good at it. And so they brought in the cassette player with a Walkman. So when I started my career, our software development park in Chennai used to be way outside of the city. It's 1 hour bus ride. So many of us used to have that Walkman with us, so cassette, you play a cassette and then you put it on and you're good. And then we transition to CD, right? And then we transition into digital music. Now, if you have to go pick any Walkman, or kind of now we call it as headphones, over the earphone, or earpods, and a lot of different things. So the product itself has grown into many different shapes and forms, and a lot of companies are there and a lot of features are there. And how do you differentiate now, right? So because company ABC has that, Apple has that, and different known brands have it, Bose have, and lot of different options, right? So now, if you have to pick and then say, this is quality wise, this is good, we are finding it more and more fine line to define that differentiation. Whereas companies have started realizing this, and then making themselves more service oriented for their customers, taking care of their issues and being there for the customers to answer their questions and help them along the way. So that way, they can make a positive impact to their customers and then retain them on a longer term, right? That seems to be more of a goal for all of us, right, one way or other in different industries. So one of the examples I used to quote this one in the past, that is, we learned from one of our panelists last year. What he said is he was a frequent traveler within India, and so he used to stay a lot more nights in the hotel. So one conference, he was going to Delhi area, and then he was staying in a hotel. Of course, he booked it online, but then he went in and then didn't like the place. He wasn't feeling comfortable. So when he called, he was told, sorry, you were booked online, and this is non-refundable or whatever, so there is not much we can do. And he did not hang up the phone. So he was again trying till he got hold of another good representative who's there to help. So what that representative did was amazing. Is he recognized this gentleman who is calling on the other side is been a loyal customer for them for a long time, and he stayed with them for over 450 nights with through their portal. So he recognized that quickly, and then he told the other customers, like, please hang on with me, like, I will do everything what I can to help you. And then he helped, like, he was figuring out what other hotels are available. And then he canceled this one. And then he said, I'm going to get you another hotel across the street. Like, why don't you go and then check in and, like, see for yourself if you like it. And then I will hang on to your, like, call. You can, like, you can just leave me on the call and then you just go. So the gentleman was surprised. He's, like, ready to do this. And then he went to the other hotel and he liked it. And then he said, like, yeah, this is fine. I can stay here. So he stayed there. So happy ending. But then for him to be able to come and explain that to our panel discussion, like, last year, it was really good. And then, like, so what he says is, like, I'm staying another, like, 400 nights, like, through them. Like, I'm not going to look at other, like, platform or other options, even a little bit here and there, the price is not matching or whatever. That's not going to be my criteria, because, like, this gave me a kind of a good experience to, like, to be with them for a long time. So the critical part here, like, what occurred to me is, like, the data, right? What is critical? 450 nights this particular customer stayed with this, like, through them. And that's a good data. And that data, having them in handy and then making it available for that agent is a critical, like, piece of information, like, that made all the difference, right? So that's exactly we are, like, talking about, like, making that 450 nights, right? A loyal customer for over 10 years. And like, so on, this is his profile. What more information you need as an online portal right now to who's in the, like, an industry of, like, getting the reservation and taking care of customers in this way. So let us, like, dive into this more in detail and then, like, understand, like, a little bit more. And like, and then at the end of the session, like, as usual, we are going to have a question and answers. Like, feel free to have all your questions, and like, we'll have our panelists, like, explain and then share their experience for your particular questions also, right? With that, like, let's jump in and then, like, introduce our panelists. So we have three great panelists today. I'm not, like, I'm still waiting for the last one to join. I don't know, he has some technical issues probably, like, but we'll get this started with the two of them who are here. So first I want to invite, like, Manish Mahajan. Manish is a vice president and head of digital partnership at Max Life Insurance Company Limited. So his specialties include contact center solutions, customer management, analytics, and business development. Before Max Life, he had stints with, like, HF Observer, Quattro, FPO, like, solutions, and Aviva India, and like, other places. So he is into the digital partnership and he understands this space very well. So we are sure, like, he's going to be able to add a lot more to this discussion. So with that, like, welcome, Manish, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, Utman. Thanks.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this enriching interaction.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, and then the next panelist is Abhishek Kumar. Abhishek currently functions as a Chief Manager, FinTech and Strategy at TVS Credit Services. And he's working with banks and other financial institutions to deliver digital transformation and FinTech strategy through innovative and, like, innovator and accelerator programs, right? Prior to TVS, he had stints with, like, EY, Medici Global, Society General, JP Morgan Chase, and Lifestyle Properties. We are happy to have you as a part of this panel. Like, Kumar, I think I'm going to call you Kumar. So, like, so we are sure, like, we are going to learn a lot from you today. And thanks so much for being here with us, Kumar. Welcome to the panel.
Looking forward for a interactive session.
Yeah. Let's start the discussion with, like, the few discussion points, like, we are going to use as a pointers, like, to get around to navigate this topic. So first I will start with, like, both of you can pitch in and then, like, share your thoughts on this one. So the points is like this. what role does data play in proactively identifying and resolving customer issues or pain points in the customer journey? How can businesses leverage data analytics to enhance the overall customer experience? Just like the instance, like I was just explaining before this topic. And in addition, what kind of tools and technologies do you use for this? And can you give us some example, that some pain areas or some good use cases that you have come across, or have you solved? And so whoever wants to go first, Manish or Kumar,
So thank you, Utman. I'll go first. Yeah. So I think firstly, what you mentioned at the beginning is quite what is an experience that we all have, which is the brand loyalties are things of past. And if you're not servicing your customer well, you can't expect them to be with you. More so now, because if we just go and look around, the whole consumer expectation behavior has undergone a vast change over a period of time.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, if I just were to touch upon what exactly is customer experience before we get into it, it is very important to understand that it's everywhere consumer interacts with your brand or a company at every stage, all stages rather, of the customer journey. So be it at the time when he is evaluating you and he might be going through some marketing collaterals, or towards the consideration or decision stage when he is buying from you, and that is interaction with your sales team or your journeys, or post he has become a customer with you, and that's basically how he has been treated through the customer lifetime value. Now it becomes paramount that we are able to address this experience and try and elevate it every time, because unfortunately when you go across and see, the consumer of today is well aware and he is very clear about what is he needing. If we are not able to deliver to his expectation, he is very quick in actually divorcing you out, if I may say.
Yeah.
And be ready to just go and look for a competition.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, when we used to work, if I were to just move back, let's say 10, 15 years, possibly understanding all these things in a very detailed aspect, because when a consumer interacts with your brand, there is a lot of things that he's doing. He's delivering you behavioral signals. He's giving you an intent signals and capturing all those signals to create a meaningful, purposeful action. If I were to move back 10, 15 years, it was possible, but not to an extent which is today.
Yeah.
And today, I think the way we shape up, we as an organizations are quite advanced. And thankfully, the job has become a little more easier for marketers, for salesmen, because now we would know about a consumer a lot more than what we had known for them about in the past.
Yes.
Now, we at Max Life are striving hard to ensure that customer experience is the foremost thing that we solve for, even before we talk about the sales number. Now, coming to the question that you asked specifically, Uthman, what are the data insights? How do we read it? So we at Max Life has a full-blown marketing stack, which is MarTech stack, in-house developed sales CRM, and which together help us create a very, very beautiful experience for our consumers, in a sense that we are able to understand what are they wanting, and it helps us identify who to target, what to say, when to sell, what to sell, and when to stop. When to stop is also very critical.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a list of tools that we have at a MarTech side, which is first is the VWO, which is basically a A/B testing tool, widely used, very common by all the companies who wants to do experiments. See, we continuously engage ourselves into experimentation. Unless what used to happen earlier, so a manager A would feel that this product will be more liked by the consumer, or a manager B will say, no, I believe this will be the product. So we have taken the human bias out of it. We say, let the consumer choose what they want. So VWO tool helps us create those A/B testing modules and at a very faster pace. so that whatever we want to do, whether we want to change the content of the website, whether we want to change the journeys of the website, we want to create an understanding of the propositions that the consumer may would want, we create an A/B testings on that. These days, we have understood that many customers do not want an intrusion. They want to be doing a self DIY journeys. So from that perspective, we have got Haptic as our partner for chatbot side. We have a lot of our services modules, our purchase modules are chatbot assisted, wherein the consumer interacts with the bot. And in case if there is a need, then there is a seamless transition that happens to a human. But from that angle, we have a chatbot tool that comes into being. Our whole website and the whole tag, the Martech technology stack is on Strapi and React, which is the where we are. Then on the Facebook side, we have our advert tools. Google side, we have our advert tools. And then from an analytics perspective, the data insight perspective, we have a 360, Google 360 paid version.
Okay.
This is how we track the whole funnel. So when you come, we call it pixel to purchase.
Yeah.
So when you come and you drop a cookie at my website to the time you purchase, we are able to understand how are you interacting with the propositions, the offerings that we have got. What are the friction areas that we see when you are conducting a journey, doing your journeys? Is there a better way that we can resolve for the future customers or the prospects who might be coming in? And this whole data funnel helps us identify those. So this is largely a stack. Then on the performance side, we have Google AdWords, etc. On the sales side, we have a homegrown CRM, which actually creates a very beautiful combination of who you are, where you from, and what did you do on our website. So it's a behavior as well as demographic combination that helps us drive a way, gives a signal to our sales team on what to sell, how to sell, and who to sell.
Yeah.
At a high level.
Yeah.
So that's how the whole Martech stacks and the technology stacks racks up at MaxLight for us.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Manish. So, Kumar, just before you go, we have our third panelist, Jasprit, joined us. So, Jasprit, welcome to the panel. Are you able to hear us?
Yes, Uthaman. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for being here. So I just introduced the topic and the panelists, and we are getting started. So I'll give me just 1 second to introduce you also. So audience, we have Jasprit Joshan here joining us to this for this interesting topic discussion, right? Jasprit is currently functioning as a senior director at Teleperformance. He has managed contact center operations across various organizations like Convergence India, 24/7, Customer Private Limited, HCL, BPO, and Videocon Telecommunications, Hinduja Global, before joining Teleperformance. So he believes in standardization of processes, business planning and monitoring, knowledge and skill enhancement, and transparency and ethics for sustained customer trust and knowledge. So, I'm sure, Jasprit is going to be able to, help us understand a little bit more about the, in the importance of the data and how we are going to help the customer journey, with this topic. Okay. So, Jasprit, thanks so much for being with us and welcome to this panel.
Sure, Uttam. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So the first discussion point we just started, Jasprit. So Manisha just concluded the discussion point is what role does the data play in proactively identifying and resolving customer issues or pain points in the customer journey? And how can business leverage data analytics, to enhance overall customer experience, right? So mainly, we are looking at what kind of tools and technologies that that you have used, and and if you can give us some examples, any particular use case where the pain area you are able to solve, or the good experience that you are able to provide to customers, things like that. So Kumar, you want to go next, and then we'll give a minute for Jasprit to think this through.
Yeah, definitely. So, rightly highlighted by you and Mr. Manish, the customer is well aware nowadays. And it is more about what we are providing to a customer rather than what the offerings are, what kind of experience a customer is getting. And the customer is very much looking for a 3-click lifestyle, like or Uber style lifestyle, that with 3 or 4 clicks they get the product, be it shopping, be it financial products, be it like buy now, pay later, credit card. They are not looking for a more than 4-click journey, is what I understand. And coming from a company like TVS Credit, where we are also tapped into tier 2 to tier 6 market, where it's primarily a assisted kind of journey where a customer is coming and most of his journey is being done by the dealer to get the loan. We are also seeing a quite a bit interest of these customers to do the entire journey by themselves, to understand what is being captured, why it is being captured, what is the time, what is the amount of time others are taking to to provide the same loan. Let's say if you go to CD, consumer durable loan, and you see 4 people are starting from Bajaj to TVS. So they also want to understand that why Bajaj is like a 2-click journey and why TVS is a 5-click journey and a 4-click journey, right? So it is very important to understand that customer is very well aware of what is happening around him, and it has drizzled down to all the tiers, or at least till tier 2 to tier 3, and definitely with smartphone penetration and mobile penetration, this is phenomena that we'll see across all the tiers of customers. Now, exactly what is the importance of data in it? Obviously, that is the most crucial aspect of it, because by collecting and analyzing the data, a customer's journey on our various portals, be it in person or digital, we get to understand what are the preferences, what are the behaviors, and what are the pain points. And without this data, you will not be able to identify the major problems or how you can take some proactive measures so that you can enhance the overall customer experience. Now, how data analytics is helpful, how we are leveraging it. So there are certain aspects of data analytics that we are working on, and generally I believe when I say we from industry perspective, like we definitely go for the behavioral analysis, we go for predictive, we go for sentiment analysis when a customer's interaction. So we try to develop this flows or bots as per se, where if a customer is, let's say, angry or disappointed or worried, then directly, rather than asking him to, if you see a flow like a Indigo, we have to do till PNR validation is a 20-25 minutes process. And if a customer is worried about missing his flight, you can't ask him to go through the entire process, right? So if you're able to analyze the sentiment of a customer, then you can quickly change around the flow and make it more convenient for a customer, which is very important. Now, how to reach to a customer is also a question that our organization have. What is the current number of frequency? What is the intensity that a marketing should be done? How we can personalize it, or like I said, hyper-personalize the offerings to our customers. And then obviously real-time monitoring of whatever we are doing, the campaigns, the interaction, the way we are addressing the customer. These are the core areas where data analytics definitely come into place, making the core of it. Now, tools and technologies, definitely a lot have been highlighted by Manish on what are the kind of different tools and technologies that are being used. But primarily in this scenario, what is in the market, or currently we are seeing as a development, is definitely this bots, conversational AIs, and sentiment analysis tools like Lexictics, and there's one Brandwatch, where we try to understand the analysis and how this can be leveraged in our AI-powered bots, so that the customers is reached out at the right time with the right recommendations and with the right frequency. This is how data analytics, in my opinion, works in today's in leveraging and making customer experience better.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just like to add, Uthman, a quick one that it is very important when you're talking about data. How do you capture it, and what do you do of it?
Correct.
Because when a consumer comes, consumer of today is really clear about 2 things. First, give me what I want, and don't ask and decipher more.
Absolutely.
From that angle, the companies who have been able to actually try and create on these 2 principles a very interesting data lake, and they are able to study the data and they're able to make it more actionable. They have seen a good success, and they have seen that how they can be just staying ahead of the competition as well. I will say earlier it used to be a product-centric market. Then
Correct.
It was a price-centric market. Today, it is the experience-centric market, which rules hands down. In case if the consumer have a bad experience with your organization, and the experience, when I say bad, The bad is not about when you upset him. The bad is when he feels he is not getting what he wants, or he has to make a little more effort to identify it or to reach out to somebody to tell him what is he wanting. That is also bad for him these days.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so from that angle, it becomes paramount for big brands, to all the organizations, to all the managers, to not think in silos about as a metric. It is more about understanding and being very, very open about each and every interaction that a consumer does with your brand, with your journeys, and try and understand, go beyond about what is being asked. And that's where the data comes into being.
Yeah.
It just kills the intuitiveness. It gives you factual things. It helps you really put all the meanings into shape. It tries and gets you, okay, this is where the problem is. Imagine, I'll just take a quick example. Imagine Amazon. Everybody of us understand it is a shopping comparison website. Many people go there. Now imagine if there was no data understanding and analytics. How would Amazon know which product to show you? And they have more than billions of products listed on their website. Can you imagine yourself being lost in that lake, not being able to find, or you have to invest your time to find the relevant product for yourself? Would you ever go again? I think many of us will say no.
Yeah.
That's where the data analytics comes into being. Companies who've been able to make a good story, good actions out of it, like I said, have been able to see a competitive advantage over others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And capturing it without hampering the experience is the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Jasper, you want to add?
Yeah, I know Manish and Abhishek have already given a strong perspective, and they are more or less speaking from the company perspective. I typically deal with organizations where we service them and support them with their data.
Yes.
So I don't quite have the kind of visibility that both Manish and Abhishek have, but I do understand the challenges because we pick up basically the tools and the data that comes from the clients, and we work with that. So we try and understand the typical challenges. And one very important thing that I have typically witnessed in all my experiences, that the capturing of data and the structuring of data is very, very important. When I say that, you would typically say we've spoken about chatbots. We've also spoken about customer interaction, what the customers are coming in for. The biggest challenge is to be able to accurately capture what your customers are actually reaching you out for, whether they are trying to pick up a product, whether they have an issue, whether they want some additional services. Based on what Mani said, do it yourself kind of a thing that the customers want. And a lot of times the company process in itself become a challenge because they have not, either some of the processes have not been provisioned for customers to do it themselves, or if the customer is reaching out, being able to capture what the customer had actually reached out would be very quite important. Yeah. And if you consider the channels that a customer reaches you, let's say the customer has come to you from a website, the customer has come to you through a call, through a chat. A lot of times the biggest challenge in all these places is there is a limited categorization of what the customer's real concern is, which typically means that a lot of times the real concern or real reason that the customer reached you for might be lost in a different reason altogether. Yeah. So whatever data comes in, your analytics will be based on that. So if you're unable to capture it accurately at the beginning stage, no amount of analytics or predictive analytics is going to help you, because they obviously work on a pattern. They understand what the customer is trying to do. And if that itself has gone wrong, nothing is going to help that. So you will, of course, we obviously cannot be 100% accurate on that. There are issues with the way you have structured how the data will get captured. There is a certain amount of human intervention in terms of data capturing. that can also lead to inaccuracies, but at least the dominant population, if not more 80 to 90% of population, if you're able to capture it accurately, you would be able to do good, generate good amount of predictive analytics. And another part of it is how complicated or how simplified is your structure with on which you do those run your predictive analytics. The more complicated metrics you have created to capture customer behavior, the more difficult it's going to get meaningful results out of that. So keeping it as simple as possible and not complicating it beyond a certain point. Of course, it depends on the nature of business, but as a general thumb rule, as simple as you can create, it will be very helpful. You would see organizations that spend an awful lot of time changing their IVRs, their website structures, and changing the structure of how information flows. So the main reason behind that is to simplify and get a meaningful information through your analytics. Otherwise, the tools will just sit on very complicated data and not give you the kind of information that you're looking for.
Yeah, true. Yeah, very good points, actually, Jasprit. You're giving entirely a different perspective, and that's very important. Keeping it simple and making sure accurately capturing the information and using the right technologies. So only then the technology can help us to dissect and give us the analytics that we are looking for. Yeah, that's actually, we learned a lot actually from the first discussion point itself. So now let's go in, so we have taken a little bit more time for the first discussion point. So let's see how we can go through most of the points here. So the second discussion points, Manish, it's for you. Others can also chip in, but so we thought based on experience, maybe this would be more suitable for you. So can you share examples of how you have utilized predictive analytics to anticipate customer preferences, predict churn risks, or recommended product services in advance, resulting in more seamless and proactive customer journey?
Thank you. I think this is a very interesting question, and many of us, while I would try and answer, but it would be very difficult for me to be, just answering that in a very simple manner. But there's a lot more that goes inside, because when it is about understanding consumer, when it is about what are they wanting, so at Max Life, we are a very complex category. When it is about life insurance, you will see everybody understands, but nobody wants to have it. So from that perspective, we are more a push category than a pull. Now, so we have to really, burn the candle both ends. First, we have to try and put a lot of efforts to understand, let people be aware about the product and interact with our tools. And second, when they start interacting, is to try and understand what are their requirements, because the life insurance, while it is one product, but it is going to be very different for different individuals for a different stage of life that they are at. And hence, what to give him becomes a very relevant choice. So we at digital e-commerce team for Max Life, we are very responsible to create a lot of traffic to our website. And when we have that, we have a different age groups from 18 years old to a 55 years old who comes and interacts, who responds to the marketing efforts, campaigns that we run. And they all pick different products. While the product may be the same, but they all respond to a different proposition of the product as well. So what we have been able to do is we have been able to understand by setting up a data lake, by setting up JavaScripts of every action that a consumer take on our website and interacts. We try and understand what is the probable next best action that happens. Okay. So let's say if there were 100 consumers who came, they created a lead on my webpage. They move to the next part, which is in our parlance, calculating the cover they would require, the risk life cover they would require. And we will try and understand people of the same age group, people of the same locality, people who spend the same amount of time, people who scrolled X number of pages people who came back Y number of times, because ours is not a product which gets sold or bought in one journey and a one click. It's a multiple repeat that the consumer does, at least minimum 7 to 8 visits before he actually buys the product. From that angle, keeping his pixel level understanding of his behavior, of where did he leave, what did he select, what was his last interaction about, and what potentially people who have left at that place of his same genre, demographics, have purchased otherwise. So we created a very fungible and a modular, offering system mechanism, which is a combination of your demographics, your behavior on the website, and also the past trends of a lookalike, if I may call, of the people who have done the similar actions. What are the probable options of products or offerings that they have liked and purchased? So this is a combination of all that. We have created an equation wherein it goes up and down like a numeric number basis each action that you do, and then we give it to you. If I were to put it in a very simple word, so there is a consumer who comes responding to my term plan. Term plan basically is when if you die, we will give you the nominee, the amount, the life cover. However, there is a savings plan also. Both serves a different purpose. One serves, if you're not there, what will happen? The other is if you're there, how will you carry on your life if you don't have money? So when you come, you may respond to my term insurance need, but when you come and interact with my asset without asking you too many questions, basis your behavior of how are you responding to the content on my website, what are the actions that you're taking, what section of the website are you visiting, how much time are you spending on a particular article, what that article likely is to be resonated for, and basis all those behavioral analytics, we are able to predict or propose a potential offering. So he may end up buying a savings plan while he may have responded to a term plan. So that's how we go about identifying the power of analytics and data to create a modeling of sorts to understand what potentially a consumer may want. Now, why it is important? See, at the end of the day, we all are profit-making entities, and we are spending a lot of marketing dollars. From us, we are a manufacturer. For us, it is very important that we are able to make end-to-end, which is from marketing to sales and service, the cost is optimized. So from that angle, every dollar spent needs to be optimized to a full potential so that we are able to pass back more value to a consumer. And hence it becomes paramount that the data plays a very important role. And with the help of the tools, we are able to create an efficient engine where we have we can reduce the leakages and we can optimize the outputs to serve the customers better.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Very good points, Manish. Yeah, thanks for that. So actually, it's interesting to see how the technology has come around, being able to do simple thing on the JavaScript now to way to figuring out the customer journey. Yeah, it's yeah, that's what it is. So using the right tool at the right place without enduring any pain areas for the customers, not the still same time making us giving us a good data point to make it a lot more actionable is the key. Yeah. So the next point, let's go to Jasper. So what kind of a customer journey maps do you use? What has worked for you well, and why do you think it worked? Can you take us through some examples and good practices adapting a particular journey map?
See, one of the most important things while defining a customer journey map, and as I said, we work for different organizations. We don't really have our own set of customers. So I'll base my experience on that itself.
Yes.
So it's very important to understand the customer life cycle, the various stages and their needs associated with each of those life cycles. And that is applicable to just about any and every industry that's applicable. So once you have identified the different customer life stages, so life stage is something that depending on the tenure or the engagement of a customer with a particular organization, you can define the customer life cycle. Now, based on that, you can either target your products or services. Then you can identify their needs for which they are reaching out to you. And as I mentioned earlier, then this would vary. Typically, a new customer, let me give an example of a telecom kind of a domain. There is an acquisition of a customer. There is a 30-day, 90-day period, and up to about 6 months. So there are multiple stages, even in the early life cycle of a customer, say till about 1 year, beyond which it is considered to be relatively stable. And accordingly, the customer behavior also changes. Their tendency to look for external products or products from other companies also relatively reduces. So based on these life stages, you can actually start targeting your products, your services, and also identifying the needs of the customer. And you would observe a significant change based on that life cycle. I do not have very specific examples on that because I have not directly dealt with the customer stages myself, but I'm just putting it across from what I observed from the data we manage for various organizations.
Yeah, the Telugu example, sounds good actually. That makes sense, right? So after a certain period of time, the customer gets used to, unless the telco, who they are with, is creating some other friction points or not able to give them something, things like that. Otherwise, so it's a good story. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, we'll go to Kumar. So artificial intelligence, AI, can significantly impact customer journey mapping. Can we look at some use cases where AI can positively map the customer journey and elevate the customer experience?
Absolutely. AI has the potential to revolutionize customer journey mapping by providing real-time insights, personalization, and predictive capabilities. Now, this is because it can process obviously vast amounts of data and make informed decision in real time. And it's definitely this informed decisions are invaluable for enhancing the customer journey. Now, by leveraging AI, what all can the use cases be? Just from the top of my mind, it can be predictive analysis for behavior. It can be personalized content delivery. It can be obviously chatbots and virtual assistants. It can be sentiment analysis for, let's say, customer feedback, dynamic pricing model, and obviously what is the next best action recommendation, real-time engine. So these are some of the use case that we are working on by leveraging AI for addressing customers and making the experience better. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. That's good. Okay, thanks, Kumar, for that. So the next discussion point, right? So it's going to be for all three of you will take input. So it is investments in data analytics platforms and the AI engine can be huge in terms of infrastructure and workforce. What kind of investment should the CXOs look at to ensure an exceptional customer experience? Are there any thumb rules that you follow?
So I'll start. I don't think there is any one size fit thumb rule for this. Now, obviously, like you mentioned, the investment is huge, and it is like a strategic endeavor that will involve combination of technology, processes, and people. Now, what we do is see, for building this platform, the investment effort, everything is quite high. Let's say in TBS Credit, we have such platforms for internal employees. We have such platforms, such apps that are being used by the customers. Understanding the behavior in all these apps, defining the customer experience is a huge effort, both investment-wise and resource-wise and process-wise. So obviously, as a starting point, we should definitely understand what's going in the market. We understand with different partners, we work with them, we see what kind of technology being used, like let's say gamification, what are the pros and cons. Chatbots are being leveraged, like to say out informally to a very large extent on on this kind of solution. And when we say chatbot is not basically just reaching out to customer, but again, what kind of response we're getting by this chatbot, how we are understanding them, how we're creating personas of customers so that we have a predefined campaign for different kind of personas we have. So for now, like let's say with TVS Credit for a particular, we have around 9 products, right? So we are setting around 200 personas. We understand what are the different personas and what kind of strategy we need to leverage to qualify them, to provide offerings or product offerings to them, what kind of product offerings is fit for them. So in TVS Credits, even if there is no one size fit all mantra, but we definitely smart, small, try huge, and then run fast and try to implement it. So that is how it is. You need to understand what is exactly in line with your organization strategy, with your customer requirement, and then you go start towards working toward it. That's our approach, and that's, I think, what an ideal approach should look like.
Okay, thanks, Kumar. Manish, Jaspreet.
So I had a few thoughts on that. So 2 important things: your size of the organization in terms of revenue and your margins. The need identification. The entire world is moving to AI, machine learning, and all those things, and they are very nice, very good to have. But there is a specific use of these engines, and there is a significant cost associated with that. A lot of organizations may not even be ready, especially smaller organizations. Unless they reach a particular size, they would not be ready to take on AI and machine learning. A lot of analytics can be done even by humans and without you incurring a very heavy cost on at least in the earlier phase of the company's life cycle. So it is important to understand those needs, and even when the organization is ready, taking a long-term, both in long-term cost and benefit analysis of a particular tool or a set of tools is going to be very important. An analysis of manpower that you're going to need and the cost that you're going to incur, because no matter what technology you use, if the cost benefit outweighs, the cost outweighs the benefit, it would really not help. Of course, there is certain benefits, but each organization at different life stage has the ability to be able to generate certain benefit when we talk about from a financial terms, be it the revenue growth or the EBITDA or the gross margins that you're looking at. And if the implementation of these tools does not measure up with the growth path, it is not advisable to deploy something like an AI. There are, of course, choices. There is a plethora of organizations that support you with such tools or with such solutions, and even if the most widely used tool is not is not an affordable option, you can always go for organizations and tools that are able to offer you reasonable solution that kind of fits your pocket. It's typically as individuals, as households, we take our budget and our reach into mind. Organizations also have to keep that in mind, and the long-term view definitely needs to be taken.
Yeah. Good points. Yeah, Jaspreet. Yeah, thanks. Manish.
I think I will talk about a little different here, because when CFOs or CTOs are trying to build up the organization for tomorrow, and they're making the organization digital ready, the first, I think, is very important to ensure that they kill the silos. Many organizations I've seen that departments are working in silos. One department wants a chatbot, so they will say this is a use case. After, let's say, 8 months, there is another one who will come up with it. After 10 months, there is another one that will be deploying something, doing some testing it in isolations. So killing silos between the sales, marketing, and other parts of the organization. From that angle, creating one enterprise level solution thinking. That's very important. I know many a time it looks like a catch-22 situation. Should we do this? Or should we go just with a piecemeal? We'll just have something right now, and then we'll talk about later. But very important for CFOs, CTOs to have a larger vision, they need to think big about one enterprise, one solution, and they are able to create a holistic vision towards it. That's very important for me. When they're trying to build up, they're trying to create any technological advancements, they should not be thinking the customers of today. They should be thinking about the organization of tomorrow, so that they are not buying something which will become redundant very soon. This happens specifically in a technologically led environment. If you're not keeping yourself up abreast, then possibly very, very high chances that you purchased a very nominal or a cost efficient tool, but end up spending more money on the upkeep of it, right? Third, it is important that we are able to keep the customer and the environment at the center. Landscape for any industry that you're in. Which wave, which direction are they heading? What are the new advancements that's happening? What are the emerging trends? Because at the end of the day, we can't be different than where the trends are. And hence, keeping that in line to your thinking becomes paramount.
Yeah,
that's it.
Okay,
thanks, Manish. So I think that's
also to add to what Manish said, just
right.
2 minutes of the time. It is very important to understand where a company needs to be a first mover, or where a company needs to catch up to the market. We don't want to end up as Nokia. In the same while, we don't want to not look into business and then only focus on technology. So the balance needs to be there on a forward-looking approach. Let's say 2 use cases that I can completely think is Metaverse and ChatGPT. Now there's a buzz around it. Metaverse, or a lot of public bank has also set up virtual banks, but do organization need it as of now? I think it's very premature to evaluate that. So from let's say again from an NBFC perspective or any of the banks perspective, I don't think we are there. But if you want to just be the first mover in the market, then definitely that is a call that has to take. But then again, come to ChatGPT, there's a very even if it is a buzz and we don't want to hop onto the train, it's a very wonderful use case where on a customer service part of it, if you deploy ChatGPT, first of all, it evaluates your how the interaction is going with the customer, right? Let's service call or a lead call or a customer support call or a complaint call, and then give you the nudges of how to respond, what to respond. Let's have there's an inquiry about the product, right? So definitely the chat if we can set up our own LLM, then there is a journey that can be definitely smoothened with the help of ChatGPT and customer service executive. So there's a balance that needs to be there. The call has to be taken, even if we want. Do we want to be smart first mover, or do we want to first catch up with existing solutions that are in the market? And then the approach definitely should be from a POC perspective. You start small, you see the learning, you see if it's right for your organization, and then invest on it. That is I think one of the approach that can be taken up over.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, thanks for those additional points. Yeah, so I think this has given us an overall larger viewpoint and some in-depth examples and points that as a takeaways. So how we can harness this data and how we can make sure that can be used for our customer journey, and also not to bother them while we are gathering this data and effectively using it at the same time, right? Making it available. Yeah, so it's all good, very good information. So audience, at this time, the floor is open for the questions. So please raise your hand or so ask the question using the chat, and so we'll have the panelist getting back to you. So while you're doing that, I will go ahead and thank our panelists for their time, and then that gives you a minute or two for preparing your questions, right? So while they're getting the questions, now I want to thank all 3 of you, Manish, Kumar, and Jaspreet, for taking your time and being with us and helping us understand this important topic, and being part of the Bharat Connect community to help us, share our knowledge for our industry, where we belong. So thanks so much for all of you, and looking forward to talk to you on a different discussion forum and topics, one-on-one interview or whatever the format it is. So please join us in the future as well. And with that, we'll get into some questions now. Okay, thanks. Do you have any questions or chat?
Hi, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it is from customer's point of view. Maybe I would like to know more how, actually the corporates have prepared for this. My question is we have come across three generations, starting with first our grandfather generation, and then my father's generation, and then our generation, our younger generation. During your grandfather's generation, there were no opportunities, no private companies. There was very less maybe opportunities to spend much on the product side. And then my father's generation, there was radios and TVs, and there were few private companies, and there were government jobs, lots of government jobs. So whenever my father or maybe sometimes grandfather, they get some opportunities, they stick to that opportunity, and there was flexibility, and they were very adaptable to the environment, and they put lots of effort in building the asset. So they had we can say that they had money to run the family, and whenever they purchased the product, they were looking for the stability in the product. Even if there is a single issue with the product, that will actually be troublesome for to run their family. Maybe it's an extra additional burden for them. During our generation, maybe or younger generation today, because of globalization, there were lots of IT companies, there was excess cash, and people nowadays, they are looking for quality of life, because earlier it was stability, now it's quality. That is the reason why, as Manisha said, I feel the reason for frequent shifts in the brands. If I don't get very good experience in one brand, definitely I'm going to move to other brand. So I'm really excited to know from Manisha what would be the next level in the customer experience segment. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Rafi. If I understand your question, you're saying what will be the next step about taking this forward from a consumer and a customer experience management perspective. Am I
Yes,
right?
correct, sir. Yeah. So because today, lots of younger generation, they were focusing more on the quality area, because if I don't get very good customer experience in one brand, definitely I'm going to move it to the other brands. So what would be the next level, like how we are going to really provide that kind of experience to the younger generation to make them satisfied? Yeah.
See, I think many a time we don't have to strive hard. These are the basic things that's always keeps you afloat. And for us, it is very simple. You need to listen to your consumers. You need to really interact with them. You need to stay where your consumers are. This new generation, you rightly pointed out, has a different way of life, and they have a different expectation levels. Now, if as a brand you are at an arm's distance to know of your consumers, definitely then you may be in trouble. However, if you are somebody as an organization who is ready to understand consumers, and consumer happens to be the center stage for you from a product development perspective to a consumer designing perspective or a journey designing perspective, then I think this becomes a little easier. So the way I will answer that is very simple. Uh, you have to understand the changing expectation of the consumer. In today's world, especially Gen Z, they are very clear about. If I were to just give you a relevant example of my life insurance industry, we have always sold the life insurance with as a fear. The root was fear. Death hua, what will happen to you, your family? This is not the same tone that we take forward with the Gen Zs or the millennials. Because you rightly mentioned, they're not the ones who are thinking about a death. They say, tell me today, I don't care about what will happen tomorrow. So from that angle, the biggest transition that we did as an industry, especially Max Life, that instead of only offering death benefits, we have started to include in our products the living benefits, which they can consume. so that they understand the value of it. Why should they have a life insurance? Otherwise, to a Gen Z, if you were to talk about, see, you are today 25 and tomorrow when you die and things happen wrong, then you will get this money. They'll say, leave it, chuck it out. I'm happy where I am. I will come to you when I would need. However, if I change this narrative to the fact that, okay, you're living, but your chances of falling sick is higher. The kind of lifestyle that you lead could be stressful. And hence the products that we offer you also take care of those expenditures. Suddenly you will see a portion, some sort of, affinity to the products getting developed. Similarly, you need to understand, oh, what are they doing? Where are they going? What are they buying? Because those industries will give you a sense about their expectation level. Today's Gen Zs are more of like you and me. We belongs to a generation where we still want to go a physical shopping. But many Gen Zs prefer to do an online shopping. If that is true, that means we need to really not think about the products which are very complex in nature. They have to be simple in nature. From that perspective, can we create DIY generated products so that they can simply go chiclet products where they don't have to think too much? And if they are the deal hunters, that is the one of the behavioral aspect that I have noticed over a period of time, then can you position and market your product like there is a deal? There is something that they will get back, they will get cashbacks. So those are the nuances that one has to be really understanding how you can entice them so that you are able to create a meaningful, I will not say brand loyalties, but definitely brand preferences. I hope I was able to answer you.
Yes, yes, got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Manish, for that. So, audience, any other questions, you can send it to us in the chat also. I see there is one in the chat, but I'm not able to see the full question. How do you use the data to elevate the customers? Maybe. Any other questions, audience? Okay. Yes. Take that as no. Okay. So that that will wrap up our session for today. So I would like to thank once again Manish, Kumar, and Jasprit for spending time with us and helping us understand this topic. And it's an interesting topic and a lot more to learn, and it's evolving. So looking at all different perspective from the BPO side and also from the life insurance and from the Kumar, he was sharing from his industry what is the fintech and what's going on. So it is it's a lot more interesting. So maybe in future sometime we'll circle back again and we'll be part of a different discussion.
Definitely looking forward.
Yeah. So looking forward to learn more from each one of you, and please keep in touch and have a good evening, rest of the evening.
Thanks, Uthman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.